The next speaker this evening, Irena Karshenbaum, is the founding president of the Little Synagogue on the Prairie Project. This 5-year volunteer commitment resulted in a permanent home at Heritage Park for one of Alberta's last surviving prairie synagogues. The Little Synagogue on the Prairie Project received the 2010 Calgary Heritage Authority's Lions Award for Advocacy and Awareness. Irena champions our sense of civic duty with articles in the Calgary Herald and other publications. Her support for heritage preservation, urban planning, history, arts, and culture are a challenge we welcome to conventional wisdom. Please help me in welcoming Irena Karshenbaum.
One man, Ilya, Papa Ilyusha, because Ilya is hard for a child to pronounce. I told you it was at a different pace. One woman, Esmeralda, Mama Isima, as no child could possibly pronounce Esmeralda. Then one November day in 1965, a wedding. One daughter, Irena, Irechka, tenderly in Russian. You get a good look at all my roles. Kharkov, the Soviet Union. I'm on the left, Lenin is on the wall. Communism, anti-Semitism. We beg Grandpa and Grandma to leave with us, but they are afraid. I can still see them sobbing as we board the bus. We will never see each other again, they say. This is not Charlton Heston. This is Moses. Despite his self-doubt, Moses still leads a nearly destroyed nation of slaves to freedom and delivers one revolutionary book, the Torah, from Mount Sinai. In 1978, my family is part of the exodus of Soviet Jewry. We sojourned for 6 months in Rome. Canada, our Canaan, democracy, new friends. Everyone owns a big car. Supermarkets have food. There is no Lenin. There is the SS Moi at Heritage Park. We cry for Grandpa and Grandma. We miss them so much. One little synagogue on the prairie built by Jews fleeing the anti-Semitism of Eastern Europe. 30 families homestead near Sibbald in eastern Alberta. In 1916, they build a synagogue and call it the Montefiore Institute. They have weddings and dances and invite their non-Jewish neighbors. The Montefiore Institute holds over 1,500 books. The homesteaders read in Yiddish, Hebrew, English, and Russian, all stemming from their love of Torah. But the cold, the drought, the hail are too much to bear. They abandon the colony. The synagogue stands empty for a dozen years. In 1940, our little synagogue is moved to Hanna, Alberta, where it becomes a family home. The family thinks they're living in an old church. The homesteaders move to Calgary, Edmonton, and Southern California, where they become chicken farmers. It's 2005. I'm sitting on the couch writing my dreams. I write, put a synagogue in Heritage Park. I begin to assemble volunteers and form the Little Synagogue on the Prairie Project Society. The rest is beshert, meant to be. For over 30 years, historian Jack Switzer, he's on the right picture, documents the history of the Jewish community in southern Alberta, including the Lost Montefiore Institute. In 2006, Manny drives to Hanna, where he stumbles on the Little Synagogue. He's the one on the right, or left. The synagogue rolling down the highway to Calgary exactly 2 years ago to this day. Once we bought it, we moved it to a farm outside of Strathmore, where it underwent partial restoration. After 5 months of waiting, we were able to deliver it to Heritage Park. The excitement in the Jewish community kept growing and reached a fever pitch on grand opening day on June 28, 2009. This excited lady is Arlene Chetner. Her husband's ancestors donated the land from their family farm to build the Montefiore Institute. One massive Torah procession. The grand opening celebration was the biggest gathering in the history of Calgary's Jewish and heritage communities. The counters at the gates of Heritage Park stopped counting after 2,000. It was as if the Red Sea had parted. The representatives of the Queen, the Honorable Norman Kwong and Mrs. Kwong, cut the ribbon. That's me in the white hat. Behind me is then Mayor Bronkanye, Alida Visbach, the president of Heritage Park. Behind her are ministers Alison Redford and Lindsay Blackett. Here are some of the people who brought this project to life. Bottom row are the board of directors of the society, Jack Switzer on the left, Manny Cohen in his bowler hat, and Vice President Trudy Cowan, who some of you may know from previously having spearheaded the restoration of Lougheed House. Here is the interior of the restored Montefiore Institute. Bottom right is the bima, the reader's platform. Top left, you could see the benches. Everything was built by volunteers. In the Montefiore Institute, men and women sat separately. Here is our gem as it looks today. It has become Heritage Park's most popular exhibit. Visitors also spend the most time inside asking questions because for many, it's the first time they have been inside a synagogue. I hope you'll take the time to visit it soon. In Judaism, Tikkun Olam means that each of us is responsible for repairing or healing the world. In 1988, my father received a letter from a woman he did not know living in Moscow. She needed a wheelchair. After my father's initial Moses reaction of why come to me, he raised the funds and delivered the wheelchair to her. Moses was not allowed to enter the Promised Land. It was Joshua who led the Israelites into Canaan. My father did not live to see the amazing journey that was to become the Little Synagogue on the Prairie Project. I say to you, what is your wheelchair project? Tikkun Olam.